Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Chapter 1 Read Aloud. In honor of National Asian American and Pacific Islander Month, we are going to be reading books this month every Friday, the first chapter every Friday, books that highlight those authors, but also that culture. So here is the summary for A Wish in the Dark, which is the Chapter 1 I'm going to be reading you today. A boy on the run, a girl determined to find him, a compelling fantasy looks at issues of privilege, protest, and justice. All light in Shantana is created by one man, the governor, who appeared after the Great Fire to bring peace and order to the city. For Pang, who was born in Namwal prison, the magical lights represent freedom, and he dreams of the day he will be able to walk among them. But when Pang escapes from prison, he realizes that the world outside is no fairer than the one behind bars. The wealthy dine and dance under bright orb light, while the poor toil away in darkness. Worst of all, Pang's prison tattoo marks him as a fugitive who can never truly be free. Nak, the prison warden's perfect daughter, is bent on tracking Pang down and restoring her family's good name. But as Nak hunts Pang through the alleys and canals of Chantana, he discovers secrets that make her question the truths she has always held dear. Okay, so here is Chapter 1 of A Wish in the Dark. A monster of a mango tree grew on the courtyard of Namwal prison. Its fluffy green branches stretched across the cracked cement and hung over the soupy brown water of the Shantana River. The women inmates spent most of their days sheltered under the shade of this tree, while the boats glided up and down and up again on the other side of the prison gate. The dozen children who lived in Namwal also spent most of their days lying in the shade, but not in mango season. In mango season, the tree dangled golden drops of heaven overhead, swaying just out of reach. It drove the kids nuts. They shouted at the mangoes. They chucked pieces of broken cement at them, trying to knock them down. And when the mangoes refused to fall, the children cried, stomped their bare feet, and collapsed in frustration on the ground. Pang never joined them. Instead, he sat against the tree's trunk, hands crossed behind his head. He looked like he was sleeping, but actually he was paying attention. Pang had been paying attention to the tree for weeks. He knew which mangoes had started ripening first. He noticed when the fruit lightened from lizard skin green to pumpkin rind yellow. He watched the ants crawl across the mangoes, and he knew where they paused to sniff the sugar inside. Pang looked at his friend Samkit and gave him a short nod. Samkit wasn't shouting at the mangoes either. He was sitting under the branch that Pang had told him to sit under, waiting. Samkit had been waiting an hour, and he'd wait for hours more if he had to, because the most important thing to wait for in Namwal were the mangoes. He and Pang were both 9 years old, both orphans. Samkit was a head shorter than Pang and skinny, even for a prisoner. He had a wide, round face, and the other kids teased him so that he looked like those grilled rice balls on sticks that old ladies sold from their boats. Like many of the women in Namwal, their mothers had been sent there because they'd been caught stealing. Both their mothers had died in childbirth. Both their mothers had died in childbirth, though from the stories the other women still told, Samkit's birth had been more memorable and involved feet showing up where a head was supposed to be. Pang wagged his finger at his friend to get him to scoot to the left. A little more, there. Finally, after all that waiting, Pang heard the soft pop of a mango stem. He gasped and smiled as the first mango of the season dropped straight into Samkit's waiting arms. But before Pang could join his friends and share their triumph, two older girls noticed what Samkit held in his hands. "Hey, did you see that?" said one of the girls, propping herself up on her knobby elbows. "Sure did," said the other, cracking scab-covered knuckles. "Hey, skin and bones," she called to Samkit. "What do you got for me today?" "Uh-oh," said Samkit, cradling the mango in one hand and bracing himself to stand up with the other. He was useless in a fight, which meant that everyone liked fighting him the most, and he couldn't run more than a few steps without coughing, which meant the fights usually ended badly. Pang turned toward the guards, who were leaning against the wall behind him, looking almost as bored with life in Namwal as the prisoners were. "Excuse me, ma'am," said Pang, bowing to the first guard. She sucked on her teeth and slowly lifted one eyebrow. Ma'am, it's those girls," said Pang. "I think they're going to take—" "And what do you want me to do about it?" she snapped. "You kids need to learn to take care of yourselves." The other guard snorted. "Might be good for you to get kicked around a little, toughen you up." A hot, angry feeling fluttered inside Pang's chest. Of course the guards wouldn't help. When did they ever? He looked at the women prisoners. They stared back at him with flat, resigned eyes. They were far past caring about one miserable mango. Pong turned away from them and hurried back down to his friend. The girls approached Samkit, slowly savoring the coming brawl. "Quick, climb on," he said, dropping to one knee. "What?" said Samkit. "Just get on." "Oh man, I know how this is gonna turn out," grumbled Samkit as he climbed onto Pong's back, still clutching the mango. Pong knew too, but it couldn't be helped, because while Pong was better than anyone at paying attention and almost as good as Samkit at waiting, he was terrible at ignoring when things weren't fair. And the most important thing to do in Namwal was to forget about life being fair. "Where do you think you're going?" said the knobby-elbowed girl as she strode toward them. "We caught this mango fair and square," said Pong, backing himself and Samkit away. "You sure did," said her scab-knuckled friend. "And if you hand it over right now, we'll only punch you once each, fair and square." "Just do it," whispered Samkit. "It's not worth. You don't deserve it just because you won it," said Pong firmly, "and you're not taking it from us." "Is that right?" said the girls. "Oh man," Samkit sighed. "Here we go." The girls shrieked and Pong took off. They chased him as he galloped around and around the courtyard, with Samkit clinging onto his back like a baby monkey. "You never just let things go," Samkit shouted. "We can't. Let them have it," panted Pong. "It's ours." He dodged around clumps of smaller children, who watched gleefully, relieved not to be one of the ones about to get the life pummeled out of them. "So what? A mango isn't worth getting beat up over." Samkit looked over his shoulder. "Go faster, man. They're going to catch us." So that was Chapter 1 of A Wish in the Dark. Happy reading, and see you next time on Chapter 1 Read Aloud.